Hello and welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast dedicated to igniting your entrepreneurial spirit and empowering you to conquer new horizons. In this podcast, we chat with inspiring entrepreneurs on their journey to success through some amazingly insightful and expansive conversations. These episodes thrive on thought-provoking chats where our guests fearlessly explore their path to success, sharing their experiences, failures, and triumphs. No topic is off limits as we deep dive into the talked about and not so talked about pieces it takes to build a business, overcome limiting beliefs, deal with personal struggles, and everything in between that shapes our lives and our businesses. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, creator and founder at The Lotus Effect, where we believe that success is not just about strategies and tactics, it's about cultivating a powerful mindset and creating customized business operations that align with you and your true purpose. Whether it's mastering time management, improving productivity, enhancing leadership skills, or simply fostering a growth-oriented mindset, we'll provide you with the tools and strategies to flourish in both your business and personal life. I'm so excited to have you join us today in this episode, so get ready to feel empowered and inspired as we learn together and from one another on how to rise above challenges, break through limitations, and unlock our full potential. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I'm so excited to have you here with me today. I have such an awesome guest. I am so excited to have her here. We've connected several times offline, and now I get the chance to finally have her on the podcast. So, Fru, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Kat. I'm really, really happy to be here and I'm excited for our conversation.
Yes,
it's always been a pleasure.
Too.
So this will be the same.
Now we just have to remember to stay in the time constraints. We were already talking about this offline. We're we could talk forever. So Fru, as we move forward, then I'm going to let you do everyone the favor and introduce yourself. So tell us who you are, what it is that you do, and what got you into your space.
Thank you for this question. And it's a big one. So my name is Fru Pinter. I'm somewhere in my 30s. I'm a female entrepreneur and I'm having a very multifaceted life. So first of all, I'm a designer. I'm a brand designer, helping people figure out their space in the space. So figure out what they do, what they deliver, dig really, really deep why they do what they do. So a lot of strategy. And then I help them design awesome visuals to back that and to attract their ideal clients. So I'm very passionate helping people who do what they are passionate about yet again. And I said this word twice because I am led by my other passion as well. So next to design, I'm a freediving athlete and an instructor. So I'm a lot in water. And the third leg is kind of a combination of these two. So at some point I said I wanted to make the things that I wish existed. And I started my own activewear brand for freedivers and water people. So basically that's where freediving and being in the water and my design background comes together with my passion for sustainability. So as confusing as it sounds, the three legs are creativity, freediving, and a mixture of the two.
I love it. I think that's actually perfectly laid out. And by the way, we will be having her information in the show notes so that you guys can check out her website because her free dive stuff is so cute. And I was fascinated by this as well because, I feel like brand strategy and freediving can go together as well when you think about the mental clarity that you need to be able to focus on what you are wanting to do moving forward. And I know that freediving, that's a lot on the body, but that's a lot mentally when it comes to focus or just being able to let go. And I feel like when you're thinking about doing your brand, you also kind of need to learn to let go. Or at least I know I did when I was making my brand. Instead of thinking about it so much, instead of making it so logical, instead of focusing on but what would this person think? And what were these people think? And what will they understand here? Being able to take a breath and be in a creative space of understanding what I feel like pronounces me and my brand and what I want other people to see was really different and actually a little hard for me to do when it came to creating my brand because I have a very logical, systematic background and having to, feel into that a little bit was a new challenge, we'll say. So when you're working with somebody then in their brand design and stuff like that, how do you kind of take them through that journey? What do you feel like is helpful, especially if somebody like you is very like multi-passionate, multifaceted, and is trying to figure out how to kind of narrow it down?
That's a very good question. And one note that you took was letting go. That definitely connects all parts of my life. And one of my mottos is with branding is I help my clients see the forest for the tree. So that means they have a lot of things on the table, a lot of confusing bits. They are very, very invested in every single part of their business, but they cannot see it structurally. So what I help them doing is focusing on the right things at the right times. So focusing on their foundation, why they are doing things, for whom are they doing things, what is the problems they are solving, why they are solving these problems. I'm digging quite deep down to basically the psychology of why they started this business. And this I'm doing through a strategy call. So my brand design starts always with a very long strategy interview. And it's not a workshop, it's an interview. So I'm having a set of questions that are going very deep into the motivation of a business. And based on that, we can create something sustainable. And based on that, we really get to the core of who the person is, why they do what they do, and for whom they do it. And to match that with visuals is much easier than, let's say, to come up with visuals and try to justify it with like, oh, Gen Z or Gen X likes purple. No, it has a much, much more deeply rooted core. And these businesses also thrive later because we actually found the sustainable foundation of why they are doing stuff. So I'm very, very happy about this process. It's quite odd. It's not a workshop. I'm not presenting static findings in a presentation. No, the aha moments are happening throughout this interview, and I'm giving space for that, and I'm giving space for this personal evolution as a business owner as well, going onwards with their brand. So that's what set me apart from other processes on the market. And yeah, how does that relate to freediving? Yes, letting go, structuring, filtering out the noise, and really diving deep, pun intended, into yourself and what motivates you and why you are doing what you are doing.
And you said something that I feel like a lot of people need to hear again, which was when you make the time and the space to focus on this deeply for what the meaning is and the passion is and the reason behind why you are doing what you're doing so that you can use that in your brand to amplify, you then get to continue to use that. I have seen a lot of people that are constantly updating some of their stuff or they're changing things because, maybe they made a quick decision in the moment just because they wanted to get something up, when I've heard the opposite, which is promote yourself and then work on your brand so that you are building something that really aligns with you. That way you're not confusing people because like 1 minute you have this and then you have this logo or this brand color and then 6 months later you're doing this. So I find that really interesting in the branding world. And I'm sure you've heard this, right? Most people that come in that are very new are like, but I have to have the brand now. But until you really understand your passion and your meaning behind it, sometimes it's almost better to just start connecting, get yourself out there, and then work on that as you kind of start to check mark off certain things that really align with you. And you start learning to let go of the other things that you're like, I could, but maybe I should just set that to the side. Do you feel like that's true as well?
Absolutely. And you really pointed out something important and something that we brand designers keep saying, niche, 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 niche. And that's very scary if you're just looking at it from this way, niche, find your specific people. But when you start a business and let's say you have one set of skills, first, how you would like to market yourself, it's coming almost intuitively, immediately to everybody. Oh yeah, whoever can use my help. But that becomes very vague. And then you basically spread yourself thin. You are serving too many people. You are serving too many markets. Then you go on Canva or Pinterest or whatever. Then you are also swayed very easily by all the visuals that a certain type of people may like. So there is no foundation again. You are going from trend to trend and not setting yourself apart. But actually, if you take time and you sit down and go deep in yourself, you are the business owner, your business is you at this point. And that's usually the people I'm working with who start solo a business and then they expand later. So you go deep into yourself, ask these questions, and then it will be so obvious what the answers are. So I'm asking really questions of who are the people who you as a business owner want to serve and want to help, and what are their problems, what are their emotions, what do you want them to feel after they worked with you, what do you want them to feel after they visited your website. And then it becomes very clear what the answers are. And this filtering process is happening throughout this conversation. So we are going usually from, I want to help everyone. We all want to help everyone. And everyone wants to help everyone, like we are good souls here, to actually figuring out through stories, through personal background, that actually I want to help this specific person because I understand it, or because I have background with them, or because, and so on and so forth. So usually there is a story, which is then the brand narrative. And then it's clear. And then they have this moment of content, clarity of, okay, I don't need to talk to everybody because I don't know how to talk to everybody, but I know how to talk to this specific person because perhaps they have been a player in my life who I wanted to help. And now I can through my product, my business, my service. So this is how it's coming together, really.
I love this. And what's really interesting is I heard from someone a little while back that was having a conversation in a mastermind with some newer people in business. And one of the things that they said was, if you are trying to talk to everyone, you are actually talking to no one. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense because,
Agreed.
and I did this in my business in the beginning as well. I wanted to help everybody. So I was like, entrepreneurs, anyone, it doesn't matter. I can help you. Um, but when you are generalizing it so much, it's really hard for the people that want to work with you to understand that you are looking for them. And I think that that's the other side of it that especially newer people in the business don't realize, because most people get in the business because it's a passion. It's this sensation of just like, I just want to do good. And most of the time it stems from experiences that we had, which is the reason why we get into whatever arena that it is. And we have that expertise behind us. And then instead of us deciding to kind of focus in on that, for instance, I talked with someone who is a divorce coach, and that's she was looking for someone that she wished she would have had to take her through that problem as she was going through it. And so she focused on helping those that were going through a divorce. That's super specific. Now, it doesn't mean that those that after a divorce are not going to be interested, or those that maybe are having some marriage issues and are thinking about divorce but don't know if it's right for them aren't going to reach out to her. But what it allowed her to do was kind of really stay in the same messaging that she was looking for when she needed somebody, versus you start to almost water down your passion because you're trying to make sure that more people hear it and more people understand it. And at the same time, it's almost like it's so blurred that those that, again, that are looking for you don't even recognize you or don't notice it, or they miss those key components that would necessarily draw them in because you've watered it down.
And watering down is being afraid to choose, perhaps being afraid of our own power, that we can actually serve the people we want to serve, to define ourselves. This is very strong, and it's the big hurdle, one of the big hurdles that people overcome when they turn their passion into their job.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, like you're going to go through changes. You're going to realize that you may want to do something a little bit different. I know I have, and over the 5 years that I've been doing this, I've shifted slowly through some of the things that I'm doing. That's not a problem. But what I will say is when I decided to choose something that I felt like really encompassed my message, I've been able to hold on to that for the last 2.5 years without the need of feeling like, that doesn't align with me. I probably just need to change the whole thing. So it's been really easy to make these simple, gradual shifts in messaging and who I'm speaking to without losing the overall arching message that I had in the very beginning. Now, I would love to tie this into tie this into your own branding because you started your own company as well for activewear for divers. And when you were doing that, how did that process work for you? Because I know that also kind of comes back to your branding business and what you do as well. So what was the process you kind of took yourself through as far as learning your message and really honing in on what you wanted to do with that?
That's a very good question. Thank you so much. And just another note of what you just said, indeed, your brand will evolve. But it will evolve to the direction that it makes sense to evolve to. You will win so much time and so much headache and so much financials by actually sitting down and investing into this investigation first and not just jumping into serving everybody or being something that you are not actually backing. So that's very smart of you to have sat down and set your foundations and then evolve on that. So it makes much more sense to filter your audience moving onwards, and maybe you start to do what you thought you were passionate about and you find more and more and more and more nuance in it, and you find more and more directions, and that's a healthy development of a brand. So yeah, that's amazing. How did this happen with my own brand? My brand is called Dry Dreams, and it's basically started with make the things you wish existed. So I was already a designer working remotely for the past 7 years or something, and I started freediving. And it's a very specific lifestyle that it asks. We are very active. We are doing yoga. We are running. We are very hyperactive people physically, and other than diving. And we are also very sustainably minded. We see all the plastic that ends up in the sea, for example, and it's very shocking. And you feel very powerless. You're so connected to this body of water, and you see that it's trashed, literally. So there are key components of my own experience as a diver that made me understand that I'm not alone. So I found also my goal audience just through myself and just through identifying the problems that I was having and my goal audience were having. And it's also diverse water people, basically, surfers, kiters, you name it. So another step of this was that I was actually frustrated not finding activewear pieces that were sustainable as possible. There is no 100%, unfortunately, on the market, but as sustainable as possible, looking good, fits into one backpack, right? So if you think about this lifestyle of diving, surfing, and so on, couples a lot of times with being nomadic. So you need to create pieces that are versatile, that you can go on a run for, but they are funky enough or beautiful enough. If you rock up on a party and you throw a dress over a legging, it still looks good, right? So these pieces have to be versatile, having personality, from sustainable materials, and just very, very good quality, because this being said, we are also exposed to the elements all the time: water, rock faces, sun, and so on. So you cannot afford to constantly look for new leggings. You are a lot of times not in an urban environment where you can buy stuff. So all of these things, all of these insights actually came together. And then at some point I was Googling around. I was literally looking for a pair of leggings. I couldn't find the one I liked. And then I just said, okay, you know what? I will just do it. I will just make the design I wish it was out there, from the material I wish it was out there. And off we went. And this is how Dry Dreams was founded. And then how it expands and how it also refines has also a lot to do with what insights do I get. So first we only had leggings, and I figured, oh, it's summer, we need shorts as well, and swimsuits. And yeah, by the way, I need a t-shirt. And then I started to sell white t-shirts. And I was like, wait a minute, I barely have access to a washing machine. My t-shirts really shouldn't be white. So all these insights came from very deep empathy and being passionate about some super core values that I'm not compromising on. For example, sustainability and durability and quality. And this is how I built it step by step. And it was also easy to build because it had no pressure on it. So I still had my design background. So I was working with clients. I am still working with clients, but this could evolve very organically in a non-pressured way. I could take my time to test these pieces out. So whenever I publish something on my web shop, it takes approximately 4 to 5 months of very scrutinous testing before I'm happy with the quality and I put it online. So I can test things. I'm constantly testing new things. What a bad thing to do. And evolving the brand this way. And as the brand grew, and I'm having quite some sales at the moment, I'm really, really happy about it. Feedback is coming in. So now I'm in a fortunate position that I get feedback from my clients. I hear their problems. I hear, oh, this could be better. This could be this could be that. This is something I could not anticipate in the beginning. So this is, again, healthy growth. And then I get new requests of what I also haven't thought about. So it's not just an artwork that is created in a bubble. It's an applied thing that is serving people, and it's giving me a lot of fun and rewarding feelings.
I love this. They're so cute. They really are. Like, they're so cute. And I have to come back to this because you said in the middle of this that you were focused around your core values, and those were things that you were not giving up. Do you feel like those core values that you use for your swimwear and stuff like that also go over into your branding and the way that you deal with clients, and then how you do your free diving as well? Do you feel like those core values kind of are across the board?
Absolutely. So this comes back again of having gone through my own strategy session and setting my own core values and understanding what is important to me as a person. And of course, that is branching off with each and every brand of mine. So in my design practice, the core values translate back indeed. So I'm very much about empathy. So you understand yourself and your clients and your product and your service. But first of all, your clients. What emotions do they feel? What problems do they have? And that can fuel your motivation. So you have to listen to your motivation, listen to your intuition, what keeps you going. Honesty also. So I mentioned that my things are sustainable, but they cannot be 100% sustainable. So that's very, very important. Quality. Very keen on doing a super good foundation for my clients, and I'm not compromising on it. If I feel that we haven't done our job, if I feel that they haven't responded in a way that will help them, I will do my very best to push them to the point where they actually get the aha moments, get the value. Also, quality visually. So what I just described to you with testing a material, obviously when I'm designing a logo, I don't print it on a t-shirt and pull it around. But for example, my craftsmanship, the level of my creativity, what I invest into it is very, very important to me, and perhaps a little bit too much. So it's always when you're pursuing your passions, you are always endangering yourself with burnout, right? So you just are pulled into all of these things that move you without taking care of yourself. And that brings us to freediving. So actually, how I started this sport was I was burning out in my design agency job. So I went on a big travel, found freediving, and that diversified my life to having a work, which was design, which was my passion before, and then having my passion, which was this sport that had nothing to do with screens, um, diversified. And that made my life, that took pressure off my work, helped me process my burnout. And here we go. I'm freediving, and there comes in self-care. So this became my self-care practice. So I'm not exactly chasing numbers, but indeed, as I'm moving onwards, I'm becoming an instructor. So I'm blurring the lines between work and passion there, and I'm very aware of that. But but there too, so it's a lot of empathy and acceptance with myself. It's a sport that is very mental. It's going deep into yourself, and then giving yourself access to go deep into the sea. It's again also quality over quantity, very much so. Being in tune, being very honest with yourself, and showing up and being there for a practice, and being open to learn, pursue, and invest to various levels to it. So there are overlaps. And actually, just now I published a paper, and I'm giving a talk on Friday for my community of how freediving fosters creativity. So these two, not on the levels of values, but these two have to overlap, right? So I'm doing something stuck to my screen, which is my work, and I'm doing something in the water, which is completely different environment. So you may wonder, okay, how can you live this life, right? And it's a scheduling issue. It's really a scheduling issue of, okay, when can I be creative? When can I be there in the highest quality for my clients? And when can I be there in the highest quality of diving and of my sportsmanship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this sounds like unattainable if you're not smart about it. But I actually went super deep. I read so many neuroscience papers about how creativity is structured in time, and how can I integrate it with my freediving practice. So that's
Nice.
another complete rabbit hole. And long story short, bottom line and abstract of this paper and of this talk that is upcoming is freediving indeed fosters creativity on many, many, many ways. So yeah, that's just exciting. This is how they actually connect.
I love that. But you know what's really interesting too is when you talk about all three of your businesses, the bigger piece and component is understanding your core values as well. And then you have your core values for your businesses, and you have your core value for your free diving, so which is self-care. And so those core values then expand into the values that you have for yourself that are your non-negotiables that then play out in your life. And I think that when you think on that level as well, it's really beautiful because you can encompass all of them, right? Because you have core values for how you deal with your clients that still kind of transfer into how you deal with yourself. And then when you encompass self-care and making space for that as well to help with burnout, then you also are expanding those core values, which inevitably you're going to end up using when working with your clients too. And what's really interesting is I never thought about core values when I first started in business. And, so for anyone that's out here that's listening, if you feel like you're struggling with like, how do I come up with wording, or I don't really know who I want to talk to, be aware of what are your non-negotiables when it comes to working with your clients, when it comes to the type of clients that you want to have and don't want to have, when it comes to your lifestyle. What are your non-negotiables? What are your core values? Because that in turn can help develop not only your brand, not only your passion, but also your free time as well, which then kind of gives you a full view of how you kind of want life to look like, at least in at one day, right? Even if it's something you're striving for, you're basing it off of those non-negotiables, which can change, they can shift depending on the season of life that you're in. But I think it's beautiful that you really have encompassed all of those together to make your life very fulfilling for you the way that it worked best for you.
Exactly. And that's very good to say that, yes, when you start a business, you actually craft your present, but you're also crafting your future. So a lot of business owners start their business to have a better future, but actually it's also evolving together with staying true to yourself. And for example, when I started freediving, then obviously my life looked very, very different. And at some point I realized that, okay, I really need to invest into self-care if I'm to function as a highly functioning creative, right? And I understood that, okay, freediving helps in that, but I need to give it more time. I need to give it more effort. So I started to shift my business. I started to shift the people I'm working with who were, for example, in the right time zones. So I didn't have to work in the morning. So I could go diving or training whatsoever. So this can take so many different forms than you would even expect. So it's good to really be aware, stay true, look at your vision, but also look at your present and bring it together and trust your intuition also of how that could go. So take a moment with yourself. And after all, your life will be your business as well. And if you have a quality life, if you enjoy your life, you will also more likely are able to show up in quality for your clients, whether or not you are a service provider or you are an owner of a product. So that's just so important. And to me, it was also very important that, okay, freediving also has to feed back, has to feed me in a way that it enhances my life quality. So that's just super important to find this. And then it also attracts alike. So you may ask at the moment, okay, but Fru, who are you working with at the moment? What is your niche if you're talking about it so confidently? So, what my niche is actually people who are driven by this same amount of passion I'm investing into my life, people that crafted the dream lifestyle. I mean, I'm living in a warm country. I'm doing constantly whole day. I'm doing the things I like. I mean, okay, it's not all butterflies and rainbows and so on. I have a very normal life, but I made sure that indeed the core activities that I'm engaged in, I really, really enjoy. And more people start to come to me who either want this life, and then I help them also mindset-wise to, okay, get there, keep believing, keep going for it, or they are already having this life and they need help with their branding, for example. So now I'm working with two clients who are both very much on their way to their ideal life. And I think both will even exceed their own expectations. And that's the most beautiful part. And that's so rewarding for me to see, like, hey, you know what? I'm living better life than I ever imagined. Yes, nice. That's the goal. That keeps me really going. But they both are involved in innovation, and they are super passionate about their product and their service. And this is how they found me. So somehow this clicked, and we are having very nurturing conversations. And I feel I can help them much more than if they were at a different stage of their journey where they perhaps don't understand yet the value of this proposal that I'm bringing on the table.
I think it's beautiful. And I love that you touched base on knowing who your niche is, because I think that sometimes we get confused in thinking that niching down means like, I only want to work with women that are between 30 and 45. And it doesn't have to be that super specific, but just like you said, it's certain passions, it's certain core values that align, that you are consistently talking about and showing in the work that you do. And then that messaging and that showing up for yourself is also connecting those people into your world that really align with what you are already doing. And either they want to do that or they're kind of doing it and they're wanting more. But I love that you brought that up, because I think that we need to remember that niching down doesn't necessarily mean we have to give adjective specifics when we are talking to people. It doesn't have to be a certain race. It doesn't have to be a certain age, unless that works for you. But having the core values, having the passion, and then, especially if you happen to have specific arenas of business that you prefer, right? If my background was in, well, my background is, if my background's in medical administration, if I wanted to, I could specify that, I really want to work with medical professionals. So it's things like that, but it doesn't have to be so tightly down that you almost kind of push people out. So thank you for giving that example, because I think that that's absolutely beautiful to show how you can directly talk to one specific person, but it's also talking to a whole element of people as well. So I appreciate that. Oh, Fru, I think we could talk forever. Well, okay, we've done this before anyway. So as we come to a close,
we are on to this again.
could you please
It's
do me
always
one
so
favor?
interesting to talk to you. Yes,
I know,
please.
it's so much fun. I always love to ask my guests one last question before we go, and that is, do you happen to have a quote or a piece of advice you would like to leave the audience with?
Absolutely. And I already said this, and this is literally the life motto and my niche for all of my brands, products, and diverse. Make the things you wish existed.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so amazing. Fru, thank you so much. Do me a favor, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can connect with you, how can they be in your world?
Super. Thank you so much for asking this. So everybody can find my website where you can see my branding work, which is fru.plus. So FRU.plus. Yeah, it's a weird website. That's my own brand. But you will see my strategy and visual work there. You can find my activewear pieces on drydreams.co. So that's dry dreams written in one.co. And that will be the Instagram handle for this brand as well. So you will see all types of people having fun in nearby water in very, very funky activewear pieces. And my diving profile, which is quite interesting if you're up for quirky stuff, is FruDive on Instagram. So FRUD dive on Instagram. Feel free to drop me a message. I'm always very, very happy to connect with like-minded and maybe not so like-minded people. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you guys. And thank you so much, Kat. This was really, really fun. I'm very happy how honestly, openly, and value-based we can speak.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, we'll have all of that information in the show notes so you can click on it and go directly to her website. Definitely check out her diving Instagram. I got lost in a rabbit hole for like 15 minutes because I was watching all the videos. There's just something that's so peaceful about it too. And like Fru and I were talking, I got the opportunity to scuba dive for the first time almost 2 years ago. And it was just the most at peace, amazing activity I have ever done. So anyway, Fru, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Yes. To everybody else out there, I hope you got a really unique perspective. And for you that are multifaceted, multi-passionate people, realize that there is a beautiful way to be able to do additional things besides just the one with a strategy and be able to tie all those pieces together beautifully so you can continue to follow your passion and build upon those passions if you choose to do so. So until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference it makes in your life. Catch you soon. Hello again, and thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode and it brought tons of value, we ask that you please share, like, and subscribe. Your support means the world to us and helps us to reach even more inspiring entrepreneurs who can benefit from these powerful conversations. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, as this feedback is an amazing gift that fuels our growth and helps us to continually improve this podcast. Looking for an extra dose of inspiration and empowerment? Then be sure to connect with me on social media. You can find me at The Lotus Effect, where I share valuable resources and tips while sharing my own journey of being an entrepreneur. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching programs and services, be sure to check out my website at the-lotus-effect.com. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of Real Chat with Kat. Your presence and support makes all the difference. Remember, whether you find yourself in the depths of the mud or on the path of growth, we all have a unique journey. And just like the lotus, some of us start in the dirtiest of mud, yet as we rise and grow, we blossom into something beautiful, unique, and truly one of a kind. To all of my visionaries out there, keep rising and growing as you create your own lotus effect.